When I came to Perth for the start of this test match, all the talk was about how Australia were invincible at the Optus Stadium. And with good reason. I mean, they were 4-0 from 4 games. They hadn't been challenged very much. They'd won the toss, batted, they'd put on runs. There was all the talk about how the pitch rather, would completely resemble what the Wacker was, about how much they were going to leave a lot more grass. And in all fairness, they did. There was about, 7, 8 millimeters of grass and a fair, even spread of it, about how India's build-up hadn't exactly been ideal. India had chosen not to play a warm-up game. I was a little skeptical. I said, no, I thought they should have been in a warm-up game situation. And if you had told me that India would win this test match, I would have said, yeah, fine. New Zealand beat India 3-0. You get to see so many things. But if you had told me that India will win by 295 runs, I'd have said, go elsewhere. I said, I'm a triathlete. Will you believe me? Iron Man. But it happened. And we're seeing some extraordinary test match results. But as this test match evolved, a lot of players showed themselves up. I saw a lot of character. I was very happy with what I saw. And so I've put down my 5 big moments from this game. Not quite turning points, but 5 moments at which India seized the initiative. India went ahead in the game. So I'll go in upwards from 5 to 1. At number 5, I've got the role that Mohammad Siraj played as a backup to Jasprit Bumrah. Now, on the first evening, India bowled out for 150. Bumrah's created that opening burst, and Siraj comes in and gets the wicket of Labuschagne. He's troubling. He's going through a troubled time, but it's a key wicket, because if he gets his form back in, he can score a lot of runs. Then he gets Mitch Marsh out. Then you come on to the fourth morning. You don't want Australia to fight it out, because even though the match is in your grasp, you don't want to give them anything. Then the bouncer that hurried on to Usman Khwaja, and one of the balls of the match that got rid of Stephen Smith. It was very important for Mohammad Siraj to do well. There were challengers coming in, of course. Harshit Rana was impressive in the first innings. Akash Deep had arrived. There's talk of Shami coming back. Prasidh Krishna had done well for India A. So competition for Siraj. He's been looking listless in his last few games. It could be because he was recovering from dengue. But it's very important for Jasprit Bumrah that he has the kind of support he gets from Mohammad Siraj. So I was very happy for Siraj, and to me that was number 5. Number 4, it came on day 1. India are tottering at 73 for 6 when a young kid on debut comes out to bat alongside Rishabh Pant. Now, Pant is batting in his usual style, a touch of flamboyance, a touch of audacity, but a very solid defense right under his eyes. He was playing quite well, but we didn't know much about Nitish Reddy. And then he played himself in. He played an innings of some maturity. Pant left him at 121, but with what was left, he dragged India to 150. Now, that's not a great accomplishment. You're batting first and you make 150, but he came in at 73 for 6, and we all liked his composure and the fact that he belonged. He wasn't overawed. He took on Nathan Lyon. And then in the second innings, when India were looking for quick runs, and Virat Kohli wanted the strike, wanted to get to that landmark, which was so important for him. He showed that he could play the big shots. He went back into big hitting mode, and I thought it was a very impressive debut. He's got a good action in the Fox commentary box where I was. They were talking pretty highly of him. So to me, that partnership of Pant and Nitish Reddy and the composure that Nitish Reddy showed in this game came up at number 4. And number 3 for me was the 100 that the king got. Now, you could say that it was set up in many ways with that opening partnership and a little contribution from Devdutt Padikkal. But, all the talk was about how long is Virat Kohli going to play? Is Australia going to be the turning point? Dare we say it, are we seeing the evening of Virat Kohli's career? And the second half of that innings was magnificent. I must admit, I also liked the celebration. Now, there was a time in Virat Kohli's career when he got 100 and you could lip read rather, and there he was angry, in your face, confrontational. He can still be that. But this 100, the way it was played and the way it was celebrated showed me that Virat Kohli is going to a different plane as a person, as a player, and at a different stage in life. But what I liked, especially about the second half of that 100, was that it just happened. Virat Kohli wasn't there in your face. He was just 2 here, 4 here. Then when they needed quick runs, a little 6 up there, but he looked in control. That was important for India. So that was my number 3 moment. My number 2 moment. India made 150, Australia made 104. It's spicy. You cannot get bowled out quickly in the second innings. And Yashasvi Jaiswal and KL Rahul came and put on 201. I'd like the way KL Rahul batted in the first innings, and a lot of you watch my blogs know how highly I rate KL Rahul. But he did two things in that partnership. He showed how technically adept he was, how patient he was, and he kept holding Yashasvi Jaiswal's hands. That young man is going to be a generational talent at this stage, just 15 test matches old, but he was leaving the ball. He was getting behind the line of the ball. You could see from time to time that he wanted to break free, but he said no because the situation demanded that he stay in there. Batting conditions were not very easy. It was a very mature innings from Yashasvi Jaiswal. And that partnership of 201 ensured that India cannot lose this match, and then they went on to win it. It was, for a reason, my number 2 moment in this game, and one that augurs very well for India. They showed a temperament and skill that was lacking in the home side at different times. Number 1. Come here to Australia and be told that an Indian is the number 1 fast bowler in the world. Then he, with that reputation, he marks out his run-up with India only having made 150. And that first spell that he bowled, dipping into Nathan McSweeney, getting one to go off for Usman Khwaja, picked up 3 wickets in that opening burst. That first ball to Steve Smith, that was a statement in itself in the test match. Then finishing with 5, coming back in the second innings, picking up 3 wickets, leading the side well. But Jasprit Bumrah carried this aura around him. And in the Australian camp, it must have been because all the former players in the commentary box were discussing it. All the talk would have been, how on earth do we play Jasprit Bumrah? They're calling him not just among the greats in the game at the moment, but maybe someone whom we will remember well beyond his generation. The way Jasprit Bumrah bowled, wow, that had to be number 1. These were my 5 moments, and I'll tell you, every one of them heartwarming to see. This was one of the better wins I have seen in all these years of watching cricket.
So thank you for watching, and do subscribe to this channel.